I haven't made a video for about 1 week now, and I have my reasons for that.
When you're in a relationship for many years, you relax. All sides of your personality are exposed.
Not good. I didn't want to be vegan anymore.
I identify as skinny.
This is so much.
You need fiber.
No, I don't.
I don't know what I did to deserve this. I have no idea what I did.
I wouldn't have become disabled if it weren't for you people who encouraged these videos. I am 400 pounds. How did this happen? How did this happen? I can't believe it.
And they alienate themselves from the entire world. That happened to me. That happens to a lot of people.
Hello everybody, my name is Salem and welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing? Guys, I am literally so busy, it's not even funny. I just came back from my honeymoon. I literally just freaking landed and now I have 2 days to pack to go to Florida for an entire month because I'm going to be doing Playlist Live and then I'm going to Disney World and I'm staying with my sister who lives in Florida and it's just a lot. I'm married now, which is awesome. I cannot be more happy to be marrying my best friend, as everyone who's basic says. My wedding went absolutely amazing and I cannot wait to show you guys some videos and stuff, but for now here's a picture of me. Don't I look so pretty? Kevin, boo, if you're watching this, I love you. Speaking of my new husband, we actually collabed on a video last week talking about Andrew Tate. Please go give it a watch if you haven't because the algorithm ain't algorithming lately on my videos. I feel like YouTube just isn't pushing my videos lately as punishment for me not showing my face anymore, but oh well, I've never been happier with this decision, so it'd be like that sometimes, I guess. Sorry if I sound sleepy in this video. I just had a very big event, you know, I had my wedding, which was so fun, dude. It could have not gone more perfect. I was stressing about it for an entire year and it went by so fast, but lots of good memories made that day. And then I had 1 day to pack and I immediately went to Vegas for my honeymoon and that was a lot, but honestly it was so much fun. I got to go to Gordon Ramsay's restaurant and I got to eat some good ass food that wasn't raw. I saw David Copperfield, Blue Man Group. I even went to go see Cirque du Soleil, I saw the show where people in fancy costumes jump around on stage and honestly it was hands down one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. Like I deadass cried in the theater watching it. It was just so beautiful and I'm not gonna lie, I think I low-key had a spiritual awakening. Like I'm not joking, I literally deadass did. Like it was just very magical. So before you guys die, definitely go check that out because that was amazing. The show that I went to go watch was O. And if you guys go see it, definitely tell me what you think about it because I thought it was amazing. But my favorite part being in Vegas was the food. I'm pretty sure I gained like an extra 5 pounds on my trip because I was eating like a king, bro. I got some Southern Cajun seafood boil. I had some In-N-Out, pasta, more pasta. I was eating so much that I felt like I was freaking Nikocado Avocado. Yes, I nailed that transition. Still got it. No, but for real, today's video is going to be on Nikocado Avocado and it's going to be a huge deep dive. I never thought I would make a video on this guy, mostly because just like people like Trisha Paytas and Gabby Hanna, videos on them are so overdone and the same points have been repeated, right? So you're probably not interested in this video, but sit down, grab some tea, don't go anywhere. Let me sell my video to you real quick, okay? Let me do this. Let me sell my video to you real quick. I used to be a fan of Nikocado. Yeah, I know what you guys are thinking, but Salem, he's problematic. Yeah, that's why I said used to. Use your context clues, people. Use your context clues. I feel like videos on this certain mukbanger are completely overdone, but trust me, I think that I have some insight that might be of use to your... I just have different points that I want to bring up than other people. I have a pretty unpopular opinion on Nikocado Avocado. As always, I say that a lot in my videos, but that's because I've been trying really hard to try to be more of a mediator on these things in my own personal life, but also approaching a lot of things, and I'm trying to implement that practice in my YouTube channel now. And I really want to start diving deep into people who are very extreme and try to talk about them in a non-extreme way. I think it'd be very interesting, and I think Nikocado Avocado is the perfect person to start with those type of videos. And trust me guys, I don't want to keep repeating videos on the same people. I think I've only done that like twice on Shane Dawson, but I don't want to pull an eye nabber on y'all. Not hating on my fellow British comrade Fraser, but my guy really do be making entire Star Wars length saga videos on one person, and I just don't got that energy for that. So here's only one video on Nikocado. I'm a little nervous because this isn't gonna be a video where, just like every other YouTuber has made on this guy, where I do serious music and I look into the camera and I'm like, Nikocado, you are eating tortilla chip vertically. If you do this, you're gonna be committing a slip and slide. You're committing scooter ankle by eating a number 9 large and number 8 with extra dip and extra fries, because that's not what this video is gonna be. I want to talk about how Nikocado has a problem, not he is a problem. He has a problem with food and attention, and I think that contributes to all the current problems that he has, but I don't think that he's a terrible person. And surprisingly, I don't think that half of this he's done through malicious intent. And if you're already turned off by the fact that I'm going to try to neutralize this person and his history, you can go ahead and click off. But if you are interested, I think you should stick around because we have lots to talk about. I'm gonna go get water because this is about to take a long time and I need to lubricate my throat. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I know I said I was just gonna go get water, but in reality, I just spent 2 hours trying to make mac and cheese, some seasoned vegetables, and some plant-based chicken nuggets. Anyways, let's get back into the video. Part 1. Nicholas Perry becoming Nikocado Avocado. Nicholas Perry, also known as Nikocado Avocado, has over 3 million YouTube subscribers across his various channels. He's known for eating extreme amounts of foods on camera, this is also known as mukbangs, and also for crying on camera, and doing whatever this is. But it wasn't always like this. Nicholas Perry was born on May 19th, 1992. He was born in Ukraine. He said he was adopted shortly thereafter and grew up in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, where his mental health kind of declined. The vlogger told YouTuber Trisha Paytas on her podcast that around this time, he learned of his adoption at a very early age and struggled to make sense of his biological parents' decision. As a result, he said he acted out and received mental health interventions as a child. Nicholas says, "I was in and out of therapy since I was 5. I would just always want attention," he said. "I wanted the spotlight." Perry also told Paytas that he had been prescribed antidepressants when he was 7 years old. Later, as a preteen, he said that he was diagnosed with ADD and also OCD. But things did take a turn for good throughout the years when he became a classically trained violinist. He majored in performance art in college. And yes, actually, he's very amazing at it. So much so that he even claims that he received callbacks to be on the Glee project. While pursuing his career as a violinist, he worked at the Home Depot. In some videos, he'd play violin and also do vegan mukbangs with his parrot, Mr. Noodle. Honestly, it was extremely wholesome, and this is when I was a really big fan of him. But then, y'all know where this is going, unfortunately. Wah, wah, wah. Around this time, Nicholas had befriended a man named Rodrigo Gonzalez, also known as Orlin Home. They both met on a Vegan Man website, and the two remained friends for quite a while, but their relationship evolved and the couple eventually married in 2017, Nick releasing a He Said Yes mukbang video. But the two have had a pretty rocky relationship ever since. A month after this video went live, Nick posted what I personally would consider the first stepping stone to his downfall, a video called I'm Getting Fat and I Don't Know Why. It's a mystery. In this video, he says that his weight gain is due to a medical mystery and that it was just water weight or stress, phrases that now would be repeated over and over in his newer videos. In the years of 2018 through 2019, Nikocado's channel would slowly turn from normal mukbang videos to ones that were a little more, this? He started making videos where his behavior was a lot more unhinged and the titles were more attention grabbing and the thumbnails a lot more concerning. By April 2020, his mindset had visibly changed and his attitude has changed and basically everything about him seemed to have completely transformed. This was no longer Nicholas. This was now Nikocado. In his new videos, he had claimed that he has already been past the point of no return and that there's no point in like losing weight, but instead embracing his weight for views than going through the effort of losing it. This only amplified his viewership as his weight was a huge topic, one that a lot of people deem as controversial. But as his weight continued to grow, so did his ad revenue, because you know the internet always will reward you for making a spectacle out of yourself online. During this time, Nikocado was known for videos like breaking up with Orlin on camera and we're breaking up again. Around this time, Nikocado made a mark in the YouTube world, making himself the mukbang god and clickbait god, Nikocado Avocado. Throughout these years, he'd fallen into a lot of controversy, like a lot. Ones that I won't deep dive into because it's too damn long and I don't got time for that. I recommend watching the series The Right Opinion made on Nikocado for all of his beefs. He's one of my favorite YouTubers ever. He's super smart. He knows how to really explain things very well. And I believe he has like 2 videos on Nikocado Avocado. And I really recommend him because he deep dives into like his dramas and stuff like that. But I guess I can condense it a little bit, and I'm gonna just say that he's had beef with Stephanie So, Trisha Paytas, Corey Kenshin, Moist Critical, PewDiePie, and many more, mostly being accused of chasing clout in exchange for his health, people fairly criticizing him and his content, or even expose videos on how meeting him in person was extremely uncomfortable. Now let's talk about the present day. Nikocado Avocado 2022 version. He is at his absolute worst. His content is now just him crying while eating food or flaunting the fact that he's now medically unwell in his thumbnails. It's starting to raise more and more concern in his fans and subscribers every time he uploads. People now react to him in videos, they beg him to get help. The amount of video essays on this dude is literally unreal because now he's just another YouTuber in the long line of YouTubers who are great to talk about when you need views. Exploiting him even further, which is ironic, I know. But that's basically the story of Nikocado and how he's come to be who he is now. Part 2. The black and white arguments against Nikocado and looking for the gray. Now, we've covered a majority of topics in his life story that definitely have contributed to how he perceived the world and how he navigates it. When YouTubers or reactors make videos on Nikocado, I hear the same points being beaten to the ground. It's always the same thing. It's always them talking about how they don't know how he's become this way. He used to be such a good person. He used to be so healthy. He's committing scooter ankle slowly on camera. He just cares about views. And yeah, I mean, all those points are valid. I want to dissect them a bit further and try to neutralize them a little bit, keeping in mind that Nikocado is not only a YouTuber, but he's also someone who is mentally unwell and has admitted to loving attention, and that he does this on purpose, which we'll try to view these points through those lenses. The first one that I hear the most is, I don't know how he's become this way. We just kind of went through why he is the way that he is. He's had a very tough life, just a life that I feel like a lot of people can't relate to. And whenever you have a story where people can't relate to you, you often grow up feeling incredibly alienated, like you're different, like there's something about you that's off. And I think people are forgetting that, you know, Nikocado was up for adoption and had many mental health struggles from a very, very young child. We also don't know his story about how he realized that he was gay, but we all know that that is not the easiest thing to go through. And I feel like people often forget that underneath Nikocado Avocado, there is a man named Nicholas who has gone through pretty dark stuff that I feel like if anyone would have gone through it, it would mess you up for a while, you know what I mean? So when people talk about like, I don't know how he's become this way, I'm not saying that it's an excuse to act problematic or act out or make yourself into a spectacle. But I will say is that when you go through enough trauma in your life, it really warps how you approach life. And it really warps the way you perceive life, and your judgment becomes very skewed. And I feel like very often when it comes to YouTubers like Nikocado Avocado, who are often used in clickbaity titles, you know, like Trisha Paytas, like Gabby Hanna, these are people who have not had a very nice life. These are people who turned to the internet to vent and to trauma dump and to live life there instead of real life and in therapy. Obviously, we know that Trisha Paytas goes to therapy and stuff, but we don't get to see that side of them. What we see as an audience are these very unstable people who are making a spectacle of themselves online. And I feel like it's the same thing with people like, again, like Trisha Paytas. And by the way, there is an actual connection between Trisha Paytas and Nikocado Avocado. I remember watching him in a lot of videos, and he used to be like obsessed with Trisha Paytas, not in the sense of like in a creepy way, but just that he would talk about how he genuinely thought she was super funny and that she was super smart. Nikocado literally said that he viewed Trisha Paytas as like an idol or a role model. And this is a huge red flag, bro. If you were someone random I was talking to and we were just getting to that subject of like, oh, who are your heroes or whatever, and someone told me Trisha Paytas, bro, I wouldn't even question if 5 years from now they ended up in a worse situation than they are like then. You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. There was red flags with Nikocado Avocado since the very beginning, bro. Like, and people just tend to forget that. They forget that he himself admitted that from a very young age, he really wanted attention and that he was willing to do anything to get that attention and be in that spotlight, which is something that Trisha Paytas talks about a lot. And the reason why I'm talking a lot about Trisha Paytas is because Nikocado literally has stated that he looked up to her a lot. And it's been for a really long time that he's looked up to her. It's not something recent. Back in the day when he was a vegan and just playing violin on YouTube and stuff, there's a video where he played Trisha Paytas' song Warrior for a contest. And it's been a long time that he's looked up to Trisha, which makes me really think about how much influence influencers have. Obviously, it's like, duh, hence the name influencer. But imagine if Trisha Paytas wasn't the way that she was and Nikocado looked up to her. Imagine if Trisha took accountability. Imagine if Trisha didn't switch races every 2 to 3 business days for attention. Imagine if she didn't say that she likes attention and would do anything to get famous. Imagine if she wasn't like that. It wouldn't have affected Nick that much, which is so crazy to me to think that obviously Trisha Paytas doesn't know that she would have indirectly affected how Nick's life would turn out. I feel like that's a huge part of it. Like the people that you follow, the people that you look up to, the people that you put energy into, you just seem to eventually attract what they also put out into the universe. And honestly, it's no surprise that he has been obsessed with Trisha for such a long time and he has ended up where he is now. Like I said, there are plenty of red flags from the very beginning, which was he himself admitted that he's a very unstable person. And when you give an unstable person a camera and internet access, that's just a recipe for disaster. And I don't know why it's so normalized nowadays. Obviously, I'm not saying that if you struggle with mental health issues, you can't have a YouTube channel and you can't be online. But what I am saying is you have to be a very specific person. And there's very specific people, like I said, like Gabby Hanna, like Trisha Paytas, like Nikocado, who navigate the universe only through the lens of the internet. And when it comes to their mental health struggles and everything, instead of going to immediately turn to help, they turn to the internet and they trauma dump and they just release so much negativity into the universe that it's like, what do you expect when you get that negativity back? You know what I mean? Point is, you shouldn't be surprised when someone who's mentally unstable, has a history of being mentally unstable, whose idol is other people who are also mentally unstable, ends up like how Nikocado has ended up. So when people always bring up the point in their video essays or their Star Wars saga length video on this man, it always bothers me when they're like, I don't know how this happened. He used to be such a good person with his little parrot and he was a vegan. He was a good person. Well, you guys don't know that. Just because he seemed happier and healthier doesn't mean that he was. Which brings me to my next point. People forget that Nikocado Avocado is a character. Another point that a lot of people bring up is that they're like, guys, this is so scary because he isn't acting. This is real life. This is true. He's documenting his downfall and this and that. To an extent, yes, that's absolutely true. He is totally not doing the right thing and just filming his deteriorating mental state. But I kind of want to rope in the first point to the second point, which is his role model is Trisha Paytas. And very often we get many different versions of Trisha Paytas. We have like kawaii Trish, we have emo Trish, there's so many Trishes we have yet to unlock, but each time she transforms into a completely different person, whether it's aesthetically or emotionally. And again, she will probably blame that on the fact that she has multiple personality, that she has this and that. We all know that Trisha tends to kind of say stuff to say stuff. But I think a lot of people who personally know Trisha Paytas will say that she is genuinely smart and she is a huge troll. And she tends to joke a lot just for views, basically, to get people to talk about her so that she can get more ad revenue. And in a way, it is genius because it works every single time. But unfortunately, it indirectly affects a lot of people negatively and it makes her image seem very untrustworthy and very sporadic. But when talking about Nikocado Avocado and the way that he portrays himself as untrustworthy, as someone who's unhinged, a lot of it has to do with the same thing that Trisha Paytas does, which is that he's essentially playing a character. This is Nicholas playing Nikocado. Nikocado is not Nicholas, but Nicholas is Nikocado. There are so many clips online, guys, where he completely breaks character, where after a video where he's throwing spaghetti at Orlin or whatever, he kisses him and speaks softly like, okay, I think we're done, that's gonna be a good video or whatever. Also videos of him talking to fans of like, oh yeah, I'm just acting and it's just a joke, I just suffer a lot from like mental health problems and sometimes it gets to me on camera, or I just want to be open about how I actually am feeling. And I really encourage you to look these up. He himself has admitted that it's kind of an act, but it also isn't. And this is where I want to bring my point, which is a lot of YouTubers do this where they play a character or they claim, I'm gonna say claim to play a character, but it ends up being a completely slippery slope where that character is now embedded into their default personality. I think everyone does this, by the way. This is my belief, and I'm gonna tell you this belief. My belief is that humans are super interchangeable in their personalities and who they can become, that there is this wavelength that is like a flat line. That is your default personality. And whenever the sound waves of life kind of are thrown at you, that flat line tends to go up and it goes down according to the sound waves, right? And you become interchangeable. But the thing is, like, you going up and down means that you already have destined personalities there. But the problem with the internet and people who constantly go on the internet to trauma dump and have mental breakdowns and everything is that their wavelength is so distorted because everything is constantly going up and down, up and down, up and down, that there is no default personality anymore. You don't know who you are. You get lost within the sound, which then creates such a toxic and unhealthy dynamic within yourself. And I see this a lot with Gabby Hanna. I never really talk about her on my channel because I have very, very strong opinions about her. But she tends to do this thing where she will act completely unhinged and then be like, it was just a social commentary. It was like my version of art. I made you guys, I fooled you guys. Like, now you guys are talking about me. Girl, is it that deep? And I feel like she's a example of someone whose wavelength is incredibly distorted to the point where she has completely lost herself in her character or her trying to be some sort of martyr. And honestly, it ain't working because now she also comes across as distrusting and sporadic. But she's also the same as a lot of controversial big figures, right? Kind of like Trisha Paytas or Shane Dawson, Andrew Tate, where there is a character they play on camera and you can tell when they switch in and out of it. For Shane, it's the I'm so poor and I treat my friends badly and I treat Rylan badly and I treat Garrett badly and that's why we're no longer friends, but it's just a joke, and then he'll go back to being himself. I feel the same with Andrew Tate. He tends to play this character, right? But there are clips out there of him being this completely rational, normal person, which is insane to me. And that's because I feel like very often people on the camera don't know how to balance that wavelength. It takes a very strong-headed person to be able to find the right rhythm, right? But it's incredibly dangerous because the more that you tap into that character, the more your real self is going to be overwritten, I guess. I feel like when it comes to Nikocado Avocado, at first, maybe it was for views and because he genuinely does have problems and he genuinely did want attention and he wanted to be the next Trisha Paytas, but that at one point those wavelengths just completely have become so knotted to the point where you cannot untie them. Do I personally believe that he can untie them? Of course. I think anyone can untie anything that's been done in their lives, but it's hard because it's a huge slippery slope, and he himself has admitted that he wants to be like Trisha Paytas, and Trisha Paytas is the prime example of not knowing who you are and just kind of grasping at any straws to make yourself feel anything, to make you feel something. And you can tell like that Nikocado and Trisha have a lot in common with how they act, where it's like a lot of people say that they're nice in person, right? But that sometimes they tend to like switch into their YouTuber persona, and you end up having a lot of problems with them, and you can't be friends with them because it's hard, because that has become incredibly intertwined. So this is to say, do I think he's acting? Yes and no. I think underneath all the crying mukbangs and the breaking up with Orland every freaking week or so, there is still Nicholas underneath there. I think we're all just witnessing the killing off of Nicholas and the ultimate domination of that personality of Nikocado Avocado. Which, speaking of killing, the other point that people bring up when criticizing Nikocado Avocado is that he's slowly offing himself on camera with food addiction. This is also a very valid point to bring up. And a lot of people bring it up and just kind of leave it at that, saying that, oh, he's trading in his health for views and stuff. That point, it was made into a whole video by Moist Critical. And even though I really like Moist Critical, I feel like sometimes he can be a little harsh in his opinions, which obviously that's why people watch him, because he's funny, but sometimes he can do a lot more damage than good. And because of this video, Nikocado made a response to his video while like eating and crying, and I feel like Charlie didn't mean to indirectly affect Nikocado in the sense of like, oh, he's gonna react to my video and just eat and cry in the video, but he did. Again, we're trying to get into Nikocado's mindset, which is, it's very smart that he would respond to Moist Critical doing the very thing that Moist Critical criticized him in doing, right? He did it on purpose. He's a troll. This isn't something where he's unaware of what he's doing. He's incredibly aware, which is why my last point was that I think that he can go in and out of character whenever he wants, but you know, we're slowly watching him kind of merge the two more and more, which is concerning. But when people talk about how he's killing himself slowly on camera by eating himself alive or whatever, I don't ever know what to truly say about this, because people act as if he wasn't extreme before he became Nikocado Avocado. He himself admitted that even when he was at his so-called healthy state, that he was extreme with veganism. I know there are pictures that he's posted out there where he appears to be severely underweight, and he himself has talked about at one point he was severely underweight because of his extreme raw vegan diet. But this goes to show you guys that he's never had a good relationship with food. It's always been extreme. And by the way, all these things that I'm saying should be general common knowledge if you were an avid follower of him back in the day, and if you actually like heard him speak in interviews or just talk in general about his life. He has been very open about this stuff, but I feel like not a lot of people talk about it because it doesn't benefit their narrative that he is this power hungry person, which I mean, yeah, to a sense he is, but he's, again, two things can be true at once, but he's also a very hurt person who feels like he has no power, and the only way that he can obtain power is through the internet. I just want to say, guys, I'm not like a freaking mental health professional. I am not someone who's super duper educated on like the history of eating disorders or mental health shiz and stuff like that. I'd like to observe. I'm simply stating what I've observed and trying to think deeper into it and trying to dissect it as much as I can from what I've seen in my opinions and stuff. There has never really been balance with Nikocado Avocado and his relationship with food, and it hits home sometimes when I talk about this stuff. I've been open about like my eating disorders in high school. Trigger warning, by the way, my eating schedule was not the best. I would just drink water all day, and I would only have half an apple for an entire day, and then I would excessively exercise, and that's when I received the most compliments. I was told all the time that I look so happy, that I look so healthy, and I was not eating ever. I had severely unhealthy eating habits, and to everyone out there, it's just like, oh, well, skinny equates to you being happy and healthy, right? Actually, no. And in turn, because of this, my eating disorder then developed into binge eating disorder, which made me gain a lot of weight. And it's just hard to find that middle ground. And I honestly don't blame Nikocado Avocado for being in the spectrums of extremism, because that's usually how it is for people who deal with these kinds of things. It's very hard to have control over. It's just hard in general. Honestly, I think we live in a society, and I'm using that term unironically, but we live in a society where skinny equates to happy and healthy, and fat equates to you being miserable and unhealthy. And it's always been hard because when I was dealing with like my eating disorder stuff, I wasn't considered skinny enough to get help, which was a motivator in me trying to lose even more weight. And then when I did get a little bit more, bigger, I was actually at my happiest, and I was actually incredibly healthy, but everyone just viewed me as, you look so miserable and sad now. You look super unhealthy. Something doesn't look right. And honestly, it's just a result of like a really fat phobic society that we live in. I really think because of that, people like Nikocado and Avocado and freaking Amberlynn Reed get so much way much more than they deserve simply because they are bigger people. There, I said it. You can sue me. I don't care. I said it, and I'm right. Like, I feel so constantly gaslit whenever I even attempt to think about how bigger people are treated so unfairly when it comes to their content and it being with food. You have no idea how many times I've scrolled on TikTok or been on YouTube where a bigger person is just, and the comments go absolutely apeshit. They're like, this is why you are the way that you are, and you're gonna die at 30 from a heart attack, and this and that. Even though it's like, you guys don't even know their medical history. Like, are you kidding me? That's crazy. But when it's a skinny person eating this copious amounts of foods and everything, they're considered cute and sexy and quirky. And they're like, oh, I'm so jealous of your fast metabolism. Not knowing what if they have a binge eating disorder? What if they have problems? You never know. And it's so crazy to me because I feel like the way that we approach people like Nikocado Avocado and Amberlynn Reed is so ass backwards. These people clearly have an issue with food, right? So why are we bashing them even further? Why are we making them feel even worse with their relationship with food? It just never has made sense to me. Obviously, we actually do know that people like Amberlynn Reed and Nikocado Avocado aren't healthy. They're very open about like what they have, especially Nikocado. He talks all the time about how he's in the hospital, how he has this, how he has that. But what I'm saying is, I don't think that he's healthy, obviously. He's not well, he's not healthy. But what I'm saying is that the way the internet approaches bigger people and treats bigger people, it almost feeds into their problems rather than truly helps them out. And honestly, this is also the same exact thing with very underweight people. I can't say her name fully, but I'm going to refer to a certain YouTuber who I would say is the polar opposite of Nikocado Avocado, but she is severely underweight. She is also emo and has been around the internet for a very long time. And if you guys already know who I'm talking about, I'll have a picture of her face up here, and only her face. But she's also collabed with Shane Dawson and stuff. But whenever people talk about Nikocado Avocado and treat Nikocado Avocado in a certain way, I can't help but think of his opposite. And I make connections of like with Trisha Paytas and everything. But one person that always comes to my mind is EC, and how she's treated the same as Nikocado, I want to say, but a slightly different because she is severely underweight, and then Nikocado is severely overweight. But the approach from the internet is always the same, which is, we're concerned for you, we want you to get help, you're gonna die, this is so sad to see, oh my god. Which I truly believe that the majority of people who are commentating and trying to reach out to these two particular influencers really do have a good heart and have good intentions, but the way they go about it is so bad. It's so bad because they don't know what it's like to be them, and they don't understand how they view food, their relationship with food, and their relationship with themselves. And they don't understand that many times for people like EC, you think that you're not skinny enough to get help. You feel guilty getting help because you feel like, well, I don't want attention. Like, I'm exaggerating. I don't need help. People like Nikocado Avocado, it's kind of like the opposite, which is, well, I'm already too far gone, so what's the point? So I might as well keep going. It's like a giving up mentality. You guys have to understand the mentality behind what they're doing. It's not just surface level. And I'm so sick and tired of YouTubers making these video essays on how these YouTubers are killing themselves and not wanting to dig deeper. There's a reason behind their actions. You know what I mean? And because the internet is the internet, concerns quickly turn into harassment, into bullying, into belittling, into pressure. Yeah, you can't actually pressure people into trying to get help, surprisingly. And that surprisingly, in a valid way, it makes them feel like they need to reject it. People need to heal at their own time, at their own pace. They do. I think EC is the perfect example of trying to pressure someone to get help. And it worked for a little bit, but then it didn't end up working at all because honestly, the old quote of people who don't want help will never get help. You can't help someone who doesn't want help. That is just the truth. And I think it's so weird and bizarre that we now live in this time where these people don't see that they have a problem and they don't want help. We get to see them deteriorate on camera, that's really scary. Yeah. But we also have to understand that ultimately we're not them and we can't force them to do anything. And this is where the audience kind of has power, where I find that the more concern and the more go get help comments and the more interacting with these people's content, the worse these content creators get, because you're giving them attention. Even if you think it's good attention, even if you think that you commenting please get help is going to do something, your comment is just going to get lost within the algorithm and push their videos even further. And this is what I mean by the audience kind of has power, because you have the power to enable these people or disenable them. But very often, because these type of influencers are so interesting to observe and it's almost addicting to watch them, right? In this sick sort of twisted way, I've seen so many YouTubers and reactors, they religiously watch people like Amberlynn Reed and it's so animalistic, it's fucking weird. It's so weird that there's literally YouTubers dedicated to watching Amberlynn's content. I don't know if they think it's gonna do anything, if these YouTubers are gonna watch them reacting and that they're gonna change, but you're literally just giving them more content. You're literally giving them more ad revenue. You're giving them more attention. What do you think that was gonna do? These people are very aware of what they're doing. They don't care if you tell them to go get help. They don't care. This is why I said, yeah, sure, maybe the majority of people have nice intentions for them to actually get help, but I mean, what over trumps that majority supposedly is the truth behind it, which is people are not watching in hopes that they get better. People are watching because humans have this innate nature to be very good, but also very bad and sick and twisted. And I feel like the majority of the internet accumulates these sick and twisted individuals who only watch these people just to simply watch, to see how it turns out. There's this desire to see how it ends, which is really up for me to say, but I've noticed this with people who are obsessed with talking about these two influencers. If you guys know a guy named Greg, who I'll call Onion Boy, he used to be obsessed with EC and he would make videos on her every single day. And you could just see this animalistic tendency behind his eyes where it was like, you don't actually care about her. You don't care. You're only making content to just do it. I don't know. It's really sick and it makes me so dead ass. This is the type of shit that makes me want to just like leave YouTube. Like honestly, because that's some dark stuff. That is so dark how the internet just brings out the absolute worst in people. And you know, the thing that sucks even worse, you get rewarded for that. People like EC and Nikocado Avocado, they get rewarded for playing the character that they're playing, right? Or essentially finally becoming their characters, right? I'm not saying that EC in particular is a character, but you can tell when she has her high-pitched voice like this, and then she has her normal moments where her voice is completely normal and she says some shit that's like, oh, you can tell that she was keeping that one in the vault. These are delusional people who need help, and we feed constantly into their delusions. And in a way, there is this very unhealthy parasocial relationship that we have with these types of influencers. You know, influencers like, again, Trisha Paytas, Nikocado, Gabby Hanna, where a lot of people will watch them like every now and then just to see how they're doing. But is it just to see how they're doing? Or is it to see if they're still on their entertaining bullshit train. I really want you guys to think about this. I'm not saying if you're a person who does this that you're a bad person. I think all of us are humans, and just as, again, we are capable of being really bad people, we're also very capable of being good people. But I want you to think about this. It's almost like there is this beneficial exchange going on, right? The beneficial exchange that we have with these very controversial figures, like the YouTubers I've been mentioning throughout this video. They get to dump their shit all over the internet. They get to have their mental breakdowns and film it, upload it onto a platform that's gonna pay them for that, and then we get to watch the spectacle and in a sick way enjoy it. There is people out there who are enjoying it. Clearly there is. There's people who are dedicated to watching these people on their own YouTube channel and get paid for that. There is this really weird toxic exchange that's going on between audience and the performer. And as long as there is this sick and twisted beneficial relationship between audience member and performer, it's never gonna stop. The show's gonna keep on going because people keep buying the tickets, you know what I mean? And it kind of sucks because I feel like, unfortunately, I'm also contributing to the problem by making a video on it, but I'm honestly really trying to just say my truth and my opinion, which is one that I've always been afraid to state, because ultimately the reason why I made this video is because of like these last few minutes that I've been talking. This is how I truly feel about problematic YouTubers, especially ones that are related to, like, there's a certain brand of influencer like Trisha Paytas and everything, where their content is not even content. It's just kind of like they're known because of their drama and they're always gonna be there. They're kind of always around. And people always wonder, like, I don't understand why they keep getting worse and this and that. I'm like, well, you guys are indirectly contributing to the problem. I feel like a lot of these people, they wouldn't have the urge to act out if they didn't have an audience to show that acting out to. You know, I feel like this video was a long time coming, not necessarily on Nikocado, but just how I feel in general about why I get so passionate when I find out that very problematic YouTubers or influencers have a large following, because there's a reason why you're called an influencer. You do have influence. Even if it seems that nobody likes you, or it seems like you don't have that much of a large following, you are affecting someone somewhere, whether you're thinking of it or not. And I know at this point the word problematic has been thrown around to describe almost everyone, but in my personal opinion, what I consider problematic is behaviors that you know damn well what you're doing and how it can damage yourself, and you're making a spectacle out of it, which will influence someone out there and be like, oh, that type of behavior is funny. They obviously have a lot of followers, like I want to do that. And that's why we have a lot of stupid influencers. You know, they're out here licking toilet seats, they're out here eating tubs of ice cream in the grocery store for clout. There's people out there calling themselves a skinny queen on Dr. Phil and like just straight up lying in their videos. And the thing is that it works every single time, because unfortunately the formula that we've created, and also that YouTube has created, that Instagram has created, I'm not gonna totally blame the audience, because it's not only the audience that rewards these types of people. The YouTube algorithm and the social media algorithms out there, as long as you are talking about these people, whether it's really bad or good, it's going to benefit them because you're talking about them. So they're gonna keep pushing their content, and in a way, YouTube rewards people like Nikocado Avocado and EC, because their content will always be pushed as long as people are giving them attention, because that makes them more money too. And it kind of sucks. I feel like the more vocal I get, the less and less my videos are being pushed, because even though my platform is on this website, I don't agree with this website. Like, dude, YouTube has so many problems. You know what? This is kind of off topic, but I'm so glad that Corey Kenshin has finally called it out. Like, an actual really big YouTuber has called out the problems on YouTube. Hashtag PewDiePie could never. It's just insane to me. It's so insane to think about and to talk about and to just see how we deadass be living in a Black Mirror episode, like for real. And honestly, when I talk about this stuff, it's not for me to discourage anyone to follow people who are vapid. I think it's fun. It's cool that you can follow people who do mundane things, or, you know, like Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio, where all they do is dance in front of a camera. If that's what makes you happy, that's awesome. What I do want to do when I talk about these things is to maybe reach someone out there and implore them to think a little bit deeper about who they're following and how that can maybe subconsciously affect your life. And this is also not me saying that if you follow Trisha Paytas, then you're a problematic person. You can follow whoever the hell you want. Who am I to tell you who to follow and who not to follow? But what I am saying is that just know that wherever you put your energy towards and whoever you put your energy towards, it's gonna benefit them. And you can't be over here talking about like, why are they acting like that? They need to get help and stuff. I'm like, come on now. Use your context clues, people. Come on now. And I'm sorry if I'm coming across as very aggressive or harsh. I just get really passionate about this because it sucks to see a lot of people online preach about like, be careful who you follow. Not every influencer has your best interest in mind. Be careful who you make your idols and this and that. And people don't take it seriously. But Nikocado Avocado is like living proof that who you follow and who you make your idol and this and that, it really does affect your life. And this deep wanting for connection and attention, which is so normal, by the way, that is human trait. That is to be human, to long for greater meaning and long for connection. But when you try to find that human connection through something like the internet, it's always going to fail you because there is nothing authentic in it at all. That is a quick way to be miserable, my friend. Until people like Nikocado Avocado, EC, or Trisha Paytas or Gabby Hanna learn to live outside of the internet, I really don't believe that they'll find happiness. And even though a lot of people are stressed out and worried that Trisha is going to become a family channel now or whatever, I hope to God that Trisha takes this opportunity of her being pregnant and being married to Moses to just settle down and live life and enjoy life. And I think this is something that Nikocado Avocado has yet to unlock. I wanted to make this video not trying to attack who he is as a person, what he's done, or his weight. This is so much bigger than his weight, by the way. I'm so sick and tired of people bringing up his weight. It's so much more deeper than that. There's a lot more meaning. It's not surface level. This is an individual who clearly needs help, just as every other big influencer does on this platform. I talked a lot about in my Kanye West video how people always want to make him into a meme, how people want to make fun of him. People are always reporting on the crazy shenanigans he gets into, even though it's like, you guys have to remember that he's like a mentally ill person who has access to money and access to the internet and access to a lot of things I personally feel like a lot of people with unhinged personalities shouldn't have access to. Then people wonder why they end up doing the stuff that they do. It's the absolute same when it comes to these types of YouTubers. And I know that ending this video on a depressing or sad, angry note wouldn't be the best. So I do want to talk about what I personally think could help these types of YouTubers so that we can at least end this on, a positive note. And also I want to give advice to my viewers as well. If you are someone who kind of struggles with the same things YouTubers struggle with. Part 3, where's the remedy? So we've talked about Nikocado's backstory, his character arc, how it's developed to become a huge commentary within the YouTube atmosphere, dissecting the points that are always being brought up about him a little bit further, kind of what he can do. But let's start talking about what we can do as audience members. And I'll also give some advice to the YouTubers who may end up watching this. Very often, we as the internet love to complain about people, but we never really try to find solutions because that's hard. That's hard to find solutions, especially when you're an audience member and the person that you're following is clearly going through something. You don't have a direct contact with them, right? You're not their friend. You don't have their phone number. It's hard to try to influence the influencer. Look, the truth is, maybe commenting, I hope you can get help soon, or we're praying for you, or are you okay? You seem a little bit off. It's not gonna help them. They're gonna deny that there's anything wrong with them because we as influencers are taught that audience members tend to be delusional, just as we are delusional. The internet is just completely just a bad place to deal with mental health. And this leads me to what I think as the internet, which is to normalize getting help for mental health. I feel like we've come really far in our internet culture where mental health is a really big topic of discussion, but we don't have a lot of discourse around actually doing something about it and actually going to therapy, especially seeking out different types of therapy, whether it's cognitive behavioral therapy, whether it's getting help like food therapy, which is, yes, that's a thing. There is humanistic therapy. There is therapy where you can take a stimulant and then be guided through with a professional to help you deal with past trauma. I feel like we have to normalize the fact that there is different options out there for help other than traditional talk therapy, because talk therapy, it kind of has a bad rap. Obviously, I'm not saying don't do it or that no one should try it. I'm just saying that there are different options out there. And if you're a person that deals with just something that makes you feel alienated or very different from the average person, maybe it's for a reason, and maybe you need to seek different types of help that isn't traditional help. I know for me, I tried CBT, and it was absolutely the worst decision of my entire life because it ended up making me feel even worse. I did go with a trained professional, but once I actually did one-on-one counseling, like I now have like a life coach and stuff, it has helped me tremendously. But just because it helps me doesn't mean it's going to help you. You just need to start branching out and finding what can truly help you. The reason why coaching worked with me is because I needed someone to sit me down and be like, this is what you're gonna do and this is how you're gonna take care of it. And I'm like, awesome, I can do that. But me just talking and someone asking me how do I feel about that really put me in a cycle where I was just talking about my problems and there was no solutions. If you're a person who needs someone to talk to, I recommend talk therapy. But if you're someone who feels like that's not doing you any good, please talk to a professional to seek out other forms of therapy because it can be very beneficial. And I think normalizing discourse around other options of different types of therapy and just seeking help in general can really destigmatize the weird relationship influencers have with their audience when their audience begs them practically to go get help. The second thing is to try to keep a balance between fairly critiquing them, but also showing them love. Don't get too crazy with the whole being obsessed with telling them that they're gonna die, telling them that they're a horrible person for what they're doing, criticizing them to the point where it's unfair. Because again, remember, there's still a human behind that screen. And if you're telling them constantly that what they're doing is horrible, that they're gonna die, that this and that, obviously I understand that people want to send the message of like the urgency of getting help, but unfortunately, again, if we try to get into the minds of these people reading those type of comments, it just comes off as off-putting and it comes off as like, oh, people are exaggerating, I'm fine. You're giving them like an excuse to do the opposite. The way Nikocado approached Moist Critical's video about him and then he responded by crying and eating. Remember, this is the type of mind game that you're playing with your influencer. This is the type of minefield that you're entering. These people, they don't think rationally. People have to understand that. Just because you tell them to go get help, they're not going to be like, oh, okay, valid. No, they're gonna play mind games with you. That's not how it works. You're not talking to a friend. You're not talking to, a good pen pal. It's someone who this has essentially been the majority of their life, which is to just trauma dump and to have mental breakdowns online. You're trying to be rational with irrational people. Remember that. I think finding a balance to criticize properly, but also to show love and a lot of support in different ways, not saying, we'll still be here for you every time you upload. No, showing support and like, I know you can do better. You have what it takes in you to change your life around. You don't always have to be on YouTube. I really hope that you find a life outside of YouTube, or encouraging them to seek stuff outside of YouTube, which is like, what are some hobbies that you're into? Instead of a weird like toxic parasocial relationship, it's kind of just more so encouragement, But honestly, one of the big things is that I genuinely believe that we should probably leave the majority of these types of influencers alone, because even if you go about it the way that I'm suggesting, not much is going to happen, unfortunately, because they still thrive off of the fact that you're commenting and that you're worried about them, but they don't care that you're worried about them. To them, it's kind of like funny that they get to disturb you. And again, this is really deep, dark stuff I'm talking about, but I'm a YouTuber. I've talked to plenty of YouTubers on how, their mind works. And very often, a lot of these types of influencers admit to saying that they like trolling, they like the attention. So it's really hard. And I would say when none of that works, I honestly think just disbanding from their fan base is best. And it's not even beneficial to them, but it's also beneficial to you as a viewer, because you as a viewer are subconsciously taking in all that negative energy. You're taking in all of their mental breakdowns, and it can be heavy on you as a viewer, and that's also not fair to you in your life, and it can start to affect how you view stuff. And that's honestly all I gotta say about that. But I would say lastly, and this is how I'm going to end the video, I know I tend to repeat this in a lot of my videos, but I cannot be more passionate about what I'm about to say. It is so important, and this goes for my viewers who are listening, but this also goes to people who might be a YouTuber watching this, or even Nikocado Avocado himself, or EC, or just anyone listening. There is a life outside of YouTube. And I know you probably turned to the internet and YouTube because your outside world wasn't good enough. It was warped and it hurt you. And that sucks. And I'm sorry that that happened to you. That's kind of how life works. But you still have power in establishing boundaries with people who have hurt you, growing and seeking different forms of help and seeking different forms of hobbies. Take breaks, go on a mini vacation by yourself, find yourself. I want to challenge the people who are listening. I dare you to fall back in love with living. And that's so scary because living sucks and it's boring and it's lame. But that's why I want to dare you to find pleasure in making a morning coffee, finding pleasure in just knowing that you're gonna go to sleep tonight, find pleasure in like, I can't believe I'm breathing today, good for me, in the mundane and bare minimum, so that you can slowly start to fall back in love with just simply living. Very often when it comes to people who work in the same field that I work in, it's very hard to be appreciative of the small things because, we're used to being invited to events, being interviewed, doing this, doing that, becoming a spectacle. We get obsessed with the hate, especially the hate. But in the wise words of Tyler the Creator, how can you be cyberbullied when you can just turn off your computer? Obviously that's a joke. I know that you can still be cyberbullied and it can really affect you. Basically what I'm saying is that try to maybe attempt to start finding pleasure in the small sparks of life. Take a break. And during that break, try something completely new, even if it's small. I'm not telling you to go freaking rock climbing or go to freaking Bali. I don't know, maybe watch a new show or change up your routine. Like, let's say that you're obsessed with going to like this one coffee shop, maybe go to another coffee shop, like something simple. Just start small. And I think sooner or later you'll realize that you'll meet new people, you'll have a new environment, and things will start to change a little bit, small step by small step. It's a slow process, but I just dare people who are watching my video to just fall back in love with living outside of the internet. Now, do I actually think Nikocado Avocado will do this? I don't know. Probably not. Probably will. Who am I to say? Who knows if tomorrow he becomes like super spiritually woke and he's no longer Nikocado and goes back to Nicholas? You never know. But I will say that Nikocado, if you're watching this, which of course he is, he's subscribed. We're besties. But seriously, if he's watching this or someone who knows him is watching this, he needs to take a break, a long one, honestly, because the fact that he left for a month recently and people literally thought he was dead is not okay. That's how you know you're spending way too much damn time on the internet. When where you leave for a short amount of time, people think you're dead. And they thought that he was dead because either his mental health, his actual health, or who knows. That means that you gotta do something else, man. You really do. You gotta change it up. Or at least during that break, really just do some intense self-care, like rejuvenate yourself, your mind, like just try to get back onto that flat wavelength and find who Nicholas is again. Cause he's obviously still there somewhere. We've seen Nikocado Avocado break character plenty of times. We've seen him be open about how this actually isn't him and this and that, but he also struggles with the extreme thinking of like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well mess up even more. That's not true. You have the power to change whenever you want. Even though it sounds so impossible, it's true. You do have power to change whenever you want. Even if it's slow and excruciating, you can still do it. And I believe in you. Well, guys, that's about it for today's video. Sorry if it was really long, but I'm starting to feel a lot more comfortable in this format and talking about stuff that I'm really passionate about, talking more just the way that I actually feel and from the heart. Thank you so much for watching. If you watched the entire video, please comment down a duck emoji. Let me know what you guys think about all the stuff that I said, I guess, and also what your opinion is on Nikocado Avocado and what you would say to him if he was watching. Follow me on my Instagram at _Tovar_. I also make music, guys, so please check out my SoundCloud. Shout out to all my patrons who are supporting me on my fellow comrade tier and also my fellow homie tier. You guys are the reason why these videos are possible. But before I end this video, guys, you know the drill. I have homework for you, which is to try to enjoy today and make today count, whether it's you drinking water, taking a nap, or starting a new show. I've been watching BoJack Horseman and it's actually pretty good. So I don't know, maybe do that or don't. I don't know. Just make sure that today is a nice day. And I will see you guys in the next video. Bye.